Okay, so now we arrive at the interpretations. Now, when you're doing your exam, this will be the first time you will have seen the interpretations. By this point, you will have done source A, your inference question, you'll have done the 12-mark explain why question, and you'll have done the quote question using two sources. So this is the first time you encounter these interpretations. So for this, you'll be looking, it's worth 4 marks, but you'll be looking to spend around 5 to 7 minutes on it because it's the first time you're seeing the interpretation, so you'll need time to read it. And all you'll be asked, or all you'll be shown, are two interpretations of a certain event or certain time period or whatever. And you will be told they give different views about something. And then you'll be asked, what is the main difference between the views? And what you want to just be saying is, one source says this, one interpretation rather, one interpretation says this, which suggests, whereas or however the other interpretation says this, which suggests. The important thing here is what you don't want to do is just rewrite the question. so effectively, sentence starters of this. The main difference is that, and you just want to summarize the main difference between the two sources, but two interpretations. Remember, interpretations because they're written later on in time. So you're just going to summarize the main difference between the interpretations. Then you're going to say what interpretation one says, and there you want a quote from the source and then what it means, the inference or your deduction from that. Then you do the same. However, interpretation two states and a quote from the source, which shows what. What does that suggest to you? So in this question, I have been asked, or we have been asked, to study interpretations 1 and 2, and we are told they give different views about the challenges facing the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923. So then I'm going to read the interpretations. First one says some democratic parties did not support the Weimar Republic. However, powerful political groups on both the left and the right refused to accept the existence of the Weimar Republic. They were prepared to destroy it by force and replace it with their own form of government. They took action against the Republic very soon after it was created. This made it difficult for the new government to maintain order and govern Germany. Interpretation 2 says the hyperinflation which happened in 1923 forced the Weimar government to fear for its own existence. After the French had occupied the Ruhr, the industrial workers had gone on strike. The Weimar government supported the strikers by printing more paper money in order to pay them. As the strike continued, the government could not find a solution and simply printed even more money. This ruined the economy. People talked openly about removing the government by a popular revolution or a military putsch. So now the questions say study interpretations 1 and 2. They give different views about the challenges facing the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 1923. What is the main difference between these views? Explain your answer using details from both interpretations. Now, the temptation here may be to just rewrite the question and say, the main difference is that they give different views about the challenges the Weimar Republic faced, but that's just rewriting the question. You don't want to do that. What you hopefully will have identified by now is the first interpretation effectively talks about the fact that the Weimar Republic was doomed from the start. It faced tough opposition from within Germany from extremist groups. The second interpretation sort of says the challenges of the Weimar Republic were self-inflicted because it didn't deal with the German economy very well. It mismanaged the French invasion of the Ruhr. So how do I summarize that? Well, what I'm going to say is I could say who was to blame, but I'm going to say why. So the main difference is that they disagreed about why the Weimar Republic struggled to gain support in Germany. I could have said who was to blame for the struggles of the Weimar government, but I'm going to say why the Weimar Republic struggled to gain support in Germany. Perhaps I should say at the end of there, in the years 1919 to 1923. That would be better actually to use those words from the question. So I'm going to say the main difference is that they disagree about why the Weimar Republic struggled to gain support in Germany in the years 1919 to 1923. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my second sentence, which is going to be about interpretation 1. I'm going to summarize what interpretation 1 states is the main problem the Weimar government faced and how I've realized that. So I'm going to say this is shown because interpretation 1 states, and then a quote from the source. And I'm going to pick that one there. Groups on both the left and right refuse to accept the existence of the Weimar Republic. So I'm going to say here, this is shown because interpretation 1 states groups on both the left and right refuse to accept the existence of the Weimar Republic. Now that's just straightforward quote from the text. And now I want to say what that means. Meaning that opposition from groups such as the Free Corps or Freikorps and the Spartakists, who resented the government for signing the Treaty of Versailles, made it difficult for the Weimar Republic to govern from the moment it was created. So that's what interpretation 1 says. It says the Weimar government never had a chance. It was doomed from the start. Nobody wanted it and extremist groups challenged it. Interpretation 2 doesn't say that. Interpretation 2 says its main problems are caused by its mismanagement of the economy. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, however, interpretation 2 states the government could not find a solution and simply printed even more money. This ruined the economy and people talked openly about removing the government. I'm obviously not going to write all of that because I'll be here all day. What I want is this bit here where it says the government could not find a solution and simply printed even more money. So what I'm going to say is, however, interpretation 2 states the government could not find a solution and printed even more money. Now this, which shows that the Weimar government's mismanagement of the French invasion of the Ruhr caused economic problems such as hyperinflation, which lost the Weimar Republic credibility in its early years. So effectively the main difference is they disagree about why the Republic struggled to gain support or who was to blame. You could have said who was to blame. Interpretation 1 says it's because of challenges from extremist groups. Interpretation 2 says it's because it simply mismanaged the economy itself and it was self-inflicted. So just to clarify, your sentence starters are the main difference is that, and you summarize the difference. This is shown because interpretation 1 states, quote from the source, meaning that, and an inference. However, interpretation 2 states, a quote from the source, which shows that, and you want an inference.